This is planet Earth, home to over 7 billion humans. This is the Moon, almost 400,000 kilometers away. The last manned mission to the Moon took place in 1972, and it took the rocket 4 days to get there. You probably know from films and television that being in space is very different compared to being here on Earth. Probably the most obvious difference is that astronauts and objects can float around the place, instead of being drawn to the ground like we are here on Earth. If an astronaut lets go of something in space, chances are that's gone forever. However, when we let go of something here on Earth, it just falls to the ground. Another thing you may have heard is that you are weightless in space. But how could this be, since astronauts still have heads and arms and legs and all the equipment, so how could they be weightless? It's actually not true to say that you are weightless in space or on the Moon, although you do weigh less, and in this video we're going to try and explain why this happens. To fully understand why, we're going to need to learn a little bit about gravity and the difference between weight and mass. We usually talk about weight in terms of losing weight in order to become slimmer, but actually this is a misconception. Weight is the force exerted on an object due to the effect of gravity. Gravity attracts objects towards the centre of the Earth. This explains why objects always fall to the ground when we drop them. Many years ago, people thought the world was actually flat, and that if you sailed too far, you could fall over the edge. However, nowadays we know that the world is spherical, like a football, and the presence of this force of gravity allows everyone to remain grounded, no matter what part of the Earth they live in. Since weight is determined by gravity, it follows that the more gravity there is where you are, the more you will weigh, and the less gravity there is where you are, the less you will weigh. Since weight is a force, it is measured in a unit called newtons. So let's talk a little bit about mass. Mass describes the quantity of matter or stuff in an object, for example your body. Your mass does not change depending on where you are. In other words, if you could measure your mass here on Earth and then magically transport yourself to the Moon 5 minutes later and then measure your mass there, it would be the same. This means that a pair of jeans that are too tight on Earth will unfortunately be too tight on the Moon as well, even though you weigh less. Mass is measured in kilograms. So the next time someone tells you that they need to lose a few kilograms of weight, you'll know that what they really mean is that they need to lose a few kilograms of mass. So let's recap. Mass describes the quantity of matter or stuff in an object, and this value is a constant. It doesn't change from place to place. Your weight is determined by how much gravity there is where you are. On the Moon, there is some gravity, about 6 times less than there is on Earth. So this means that rather than being completely weightless on the Moon, in fact, you weigh about 6 times less than you do here on Earth. We hope that you enjoyed our video, that you learned something, and that you can now understand this cartoon.